everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Independent Thought. My name is Desmond Price. For today's episode, we are joined by Joey Desatnik. Joey, thank you for coming on the podcast today. How are you doing?
Welcome. Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on. For this episode in particular, I wanted to have you come on and talk about your organization efforts. You are currently organizing a warehouse, an Amazon warehouse in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Tell me a little bit about what led up to this decision and why you are trying to organize this warehouse now.
Yeah, this started, with accumulation of a couple of things back in probably the end of February, March. I started going through some things where I got injured, and the company sent me to go through their process where they give you a process to go through workman's comp. And if you want to see a doctor, you got to go to this special doctor. They set up a workman's comp. So when I went through that process, I believed in it, I didn't have nothing to doubt about it. But then later I realized, during this process, that there was a lot of things that wasn't right. You know what I mean? So when I went back to work on inflammation pills they gave me for my knee, I still was in pain later, and I was supposed to get less like some accommodations, light duty till it heals. I only did the light duty for a few days, still was in pain. They told me, you don't have an injury no more. They wanted to take me to court. They had hearings set up. They didn't deny my claims. They didn't want to pay no bill or whatever. I said, look, I'm still in pain. So I went and made an appointment at the Cleveland Clinic. Went outside of their process and found out that my knee bone was hitting my bone. From their examination, they told me everything they did was totally, the doctor was in disagreement with it. Like, well, how did they take x-rays and you come up with something totally different? So right there started me thinking, Amazon, they're misleading us, we're getting injured. And I talked to some more workers that are my co-workers, asking them, because I've seen a lot of people when you're in AmCare, hey, what happened to you? We just start talking, and I hear some of the same type of scenarios. And I'm like, this company, you would think want to take care of us when we get injured, as much as we work for them, right?
Right.
Wrong. Yeah. And then I went to my coworkers, and we started doing things upstairs, and then I noticed they started writing us up a lot, coming in with this attitude where almost they brought these new managers in, and everyone was getting rid of, and people were feeling like on edge, and all this stuff was happening. I'm thinking, what are you writing? Why are you writing this guy up? Or why are you writing? People were getting rid of, didn't even know to get rid of. It's just like they were coming in trying to fire people, writing people up. They did it with me, myself. I write me just holding the phone, not on the phone, not making a phone call. So, when we just mess with your phone, they writing you up for anything. And everyone has a phone. Even the managers and operators are sitting there on their desk with the phone. So what are you coming at us for? If it's that way, then just take everyone's phone away. So you can see the unfairness, and you can see people not being happy anymore. And you can see people getting, mistreated when they get injured. So all this led up to me talking to a couple of my coworkers, and I said, you know what? Back in March, I said, Enterprise, I said, look, guys, I took them together. I said, look, we need to get a union. And I didn't know anything about ALU at the time. I didn't know anything about any other thing going on. I just knew, since my experience with unions, I could see what was going on with these managers. And I thought a union here could bring something better for this place. A union here could give us the respect we need, give us some due process in some of this stuff, get some fairness in it, maybe get a lot more better medical care. So I just started thinking that way. And then I called the labor department just to ask, what do I do?
Right.
Well, how do I do this? How do I go about this? So what I want to do. And they told me to get in touch with your local unions out there and just figure out from there, go from there. And that's where it started. And I started calling different unions, getting email, getting in touch with me so I could just figure out this process,
Right. And in figuring out this process, when you were first starting out, trying to figure out, what exactly you were supposed to do, so on and so forth, what was the mood, I guess, inside the warehouse? Were other people also feeling the same way that you were feeling, or was it kind of just a few workers, or were a lot of workers more or less upset with how Amazon was treating people across the site?
Yeah, on the top, when I first started talking about the union to a couple guys, I told them just basically keep it quiet right now so I can feel everything out. I ain't just come out with it yet. You know what I mean? Not until the day I was going to get those signatures, I wasn't going to come out. And once I started, I got them right here, show you a folder. But the thing is, yeah, you could see people weren't happy. I go into the wall and I talk to some people and they were just like, man, it's a long night, it's a long night. First, they started going around making sure people didn't have their earbuds in their ear. They don't want you to listen to music, which to me is stimulation. And everyone was all up in their head. Some people were, half they do wear it, they have to wear it with the risk of getting caught and getting rid of. So, some people will find creative ways to do that. But because it's just so hard, think about that. People risk losing their job because it's so hard for 10 to 12 hours to be packing in that wall with a good energy and mood without some type of stimulation. And it is, because it is. And then some people would have PTSD, now they're dealing with their thoughts or got things going on. You can't get out of your head for a little bit. And that's another thing. You don't have no stimulation. That was making people down. They were going around writing people up, making people feel inferior. That was wrong. And then I just saw, at one point, actually, before all this happened, they called me down to the HR just to tell me they don't want me walking through where the rebinders are, because people would stop me, how you doing? Because I'm a people person. And we would talk and, catch up with your coworkers. They didn't even want me walking down saying production would stop, because that's how many people would want to say hi to me because I trained a lot of people or whatever. So they said, can you just avoid those areas? That's how ridiculous they get. So I'd have friends, hey, Joey, how you doing? Come over here. I can't, man. I got to go this way. It was ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like, you kidding me? Like, production's going to stop that much. You know what I mean? Come and say hello to your coworker or whatever.
Yeah,
you
Yeah, you were also mentioning to me that they would write you up for some of the most ridiculous things in the world. Could you just give us some examples of some of the things that either you have been written up for or other coworkers have been written up for?
Yeah, the thing they write up for, like, for example, I wanted to get ice for my knee. Okay, so the day of that day, I went down, talked to the AM care. They had me wait for an hour. I went to break, came back, confronted the person, asked me, can I go back and get ice? And she told me, no, you don't have accommodations, which clearly I had accommodations. Okay, so I gave her a little attitude like, yeah, what do you mean I don't have accommodations? That's BS. You guys know I have accommodations. All I want is get the ice, let it cool down my knee, it's in pain, and I'll go back to work. That's what I should get. And she denied me, said it wasn't. So I told her, why don't you write your name down? Let me document this. She didn't want no part of that. So then I went back over to talk to her a little bit later when I had some to show her in my phone, the documentation. She didn't want to look at it. So we got a little bit of disagreement. But then I realized it wasn't her. It wasn't her. It was Amazon. So, okay, the next day I come in, and I didn't realize I did a swap shift on that day. So I really wasn't supposed to be there on that day. I was supposed to be there the next day. So when I came there, I asked them if they had my accommodations. Another guy came. Another guy went and told HR. They came to me and told me that I wasn't supposed to be there that day. Fine, okay. They said the next day. I said, all right, fine, I'll be here tomorrow. They said, no, don't come in tomorrow because you're getting suspended. Suspended for what? Your attitude. Attitude? What do you mean attitude? I worked the whole day yesterday. All I did was bring up about the ice. She goes, well, you have an aggressive attitude towards some employee. I said, for what? Because you would have been okay if someone would give you ice if you was in pain. You would have been just nice and just thank you, don't give me no ice when you know you have accommodations and they're mistreating you.
Yeah.
She's like, so she had nothing to say about it. And then they suspended me literally to investigate because of an attitude. Not because you cuss anybody, and the lady was right there. She's seen it all. Not cussing anybody out or doing anything else. An attitude. Can you imagine if everyone in the United States was written up for or suspended for attitudes in work? An attitude is, you come in with attitude or you had a bad attitude, we're going to suspend you.
Yeah, that wouldn't really be sustainable in a lot of job sites. And so honestly, that leads me right into my next question. If that's how they were treating you before you started organizing, how did it change once they found out that you started organizing?
No, that was happening when I was organizing. That happened after I was organizing because they found that's why they started treating me like that. So they started writing, sending me home. But the next day they called me to come right back to work. Where you at? I said, what do you mean you suspended me? Well, oh, it's okay. Come back to work. Everything's fine. So that's little things they do. Now they do write people up. They sit down on the table or do stuff like that. That, you don't have your rate, they'll write you up. They'll write people up, like I said, for just holding the phone or being by the phone, or all kind of things. They can write you up and not even tell you though you're written up. So you might not know you've been written up. So you don't have no, so then you get a final write-up. And I was like, well, now they may tell you as you're getting your final write-up. What do you mean I've been written up? Oh, you have another write-up. We wrote you up 2 weeks ago. They may tell you 2 weeks ago they wrote you up 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks later, they're telling you. Not the day of. So you have no, you're not even realizing you're getting rid up. Some people have told me they've been rid up a month and didn't even know it.
Right.
They were written up.
That's absolutely wild. There's honestly no excuse for that. The fact that, a workplace can go ahead and write you up, because I'm assuming that once you get so many write-ups, you get fired. So the fact that they could put you in that position without even telling you what the act was for, and, we talk about people who their livelihoods are at stake, right? These Amazon warehouses. I mean, a lot of people who work in there, this is their full-time job. They got families that are relying on them. So the fact that they could put people in that level of just scarcity, putting them in that much level of fear without them even really knowing what they did wrong. That's absolutely egregious, but I have some more questions about exactly, what's going to happen next with you and the union. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have more questions with Joey. Stay tuned. Welcome back from the break, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us through this episode of Independent Thought. Joey, just, before we get a little bit further into the details about all of this, what is the warehouse that you are trying to organize, just for the people at home to know?
Yeah, this is in Cleveland. It's CLE 2. It's a FC, so it's a fulfillment center, which we have maybe up to 5,000 workers in there. And,
Okay.
so we do a lot of work there.
What, after you started organizing and you kind of filed to start this, well, you were trying to get to, to the point where you could have the union election. How did, I guess, workers react to that in and of itself? And did more people open up to you about their feelings and how they were feeling about Amazon and, some of the workplace, I guess, either admirations or fears, so on and so forth? Tell me a little bit about that experience interacting with the workers in the warehouse.
When I started organizing, right towards the end of March, and it was beginning of April, and I think that's even when Chris Smalls and them guys won in Derek and Jordan, they were one in Staten Island. So the next day, before that day, I was getting signatures. Then the next day, I was able to show them they won. So talking to my coworkers, showing that it could be done. Somebody had an idea about it. Somebody seen it, and they were ready to sign. So I just was telling them, look, we got to become union. So I stood outside, and as I started doing that, just to gauge what people was going to do, just as a petition, just to see, you guys want a union. I had over 230 signatures within 2 days. That was 2 nights of my shift, which 30 minutes on one break, 30 minutes or 45 minutes after work. And then I did the same thing the next day. And the response I got from the workers was pretty positive. They want a union. They were signing that paper. Give me that paper. I got, like I said, I have the folder here. I have all these, what I have on here. What I have right here. So the first day I started, and I had, look at that. So that's a page. Look at that. This was up. I just put look at that. You can see the rain was on me, the snow. These papers are wet. I was in the snow and the rain, and one person said, why don't you come in and get warm in here, where the security is. And I just, at the time, I didn't even want to mess around that way. I just wanted to stay where I was, right in front of the door. One time I did do a couple of times going in when someone was cold in the morning, but I got the signature, but look at that. And I was just standing outside, right in front of Amazon by myself. Even when I was driving home, I seen another person work. Hey, you want to sign? People would sign. People see it. These signatures, okay? And signatures on each side of each row saying they want a union. And that was just starting.
Right.
And
What I've heard in the past is that a lot of people said that they were kind of fearful of, possibly unionizing because of the way that Amazon has retaliated against people in the past. I mean, were you coming up against any people who were afraid of losing their jobs?
you have people who are, how can I call it? Systemized, where through the years they believe if you do something against a corporation or a boss, they're automatically fearful. You can see they don't have a voice. They literally would have almost, you can see like in their eyes, it's sad. They would feel that fear. And some people assist, how would you call this? Through the years of working, through whatever they've seen, whatever it is, you can see the fear. Like, oh no, I can't. It's not that they don't want it. That shows you they don't. It's not that they don't want it. They just get fearful. Like
Right.
I said, no, don't be fearful. Don't worry about it. Sign your name. If they do, we'll fight these. That is the saddest part to see. I know people that wanted to, like, you could just see they want to. Then almost like they come into a shell, and it's sad because you know the feeling about I know they got to pay bills and this and that, whatever it is. I've seen people with 2 jobs, even still fearful. I'm like, to me, it's almost like it's embedded in some people's psyche that you don't go up against your boss or corporations or whatever, because because of the things like Amazon is doing. Okay,
Right.
and this is why Amazon. I'm not done with Amazon. I'm not done with Amazon even after I try to get my job back with the National Labor Board and they're doing this union. I'm not done because I want a class action lawsuit with everyone they fire, okay? Because, and I'll go for 10, 25% or more of what they make a year. Because we will find out through that process. The firings they did, trampling on people's rights, this company who delivers smiles, the friendly company that loves everybody, Amazon. It's almost like, if you was making a video game and you would want to put a storyline in there.
Yeah.
Amazon would be what you would see on the outside, this nice, friendly company. But then the reality is, the corporations are the monsters running it.
Now, the thing I want to ask you next.
Monsters, that's what they are, monsters in that corporation, monsters. Because they fire people for no reason. They get money to fire people. That's another thing I found out. There's something that's so evil, you wouldn't even believe it. They pay the managers a bonus for firing people.
Yeah, no,
Talk about demented management across the board. No one even realized they operate like this, but yet it's okay. No, it ain't. Some people have taken their lives because they lost their jobs, and we know this. Losing a job could destroy your life, your marriage, your whole family. Yet they think it's good to give a bonus for firing somebody. That should be one of the in any corporation, any I don't care if it's a small business, you don't want to fire somebody. That day is should be one of your toughest days to let somebody go. Even if they did something wrong, whatever, they violate rules, because someone's gonna have a hardship. That is how mentality should be. This Bezos and these corporate, what they've been doing for 26 years. It's just like what O'Brien said, the Teamster president of New York, they're an organized crime syndicate. If that's what you want to look at, the way you want to look at Amazon, really. But they do it within a legal, some type of loopholes that they do it in. And he said it in front of Congress.
That leads me into the last question that I want to ask you about. I know that, some people are trying to, kind of help you behind the scenes a little bit as far as trying to figure out what to do next with the organizing. And, I'm wishing you the best with the organization as it goes forward. But what is the final message here as far as like what you're hoping that people will take from this story as you're trying to stand up to this company and trying to get better rights for the people who work at that fulfillment center?
Yeah. One main thing, one, empower. So people, we do have the power. Stand up. When you see injustices being done in your workplace, when you see other coworkers, maybe even ain't you getting it, but you see other things happen to your other coworkers, stand up for them. Stand up for each other. You remember you're the employee, but you the workers, and you should be valued. Okay, you should be valued as whether you're the janitor or whatever you are. You should be valued. Okay, treated with respect. Okay, and what I want to get from this is also people to realize, you know what I mean, you have a right to organize. This is your right. Just because a company can intimidate you and do all these things that Amazon does, spending $400 an hour with one union buster standing next to you. Okay, that shows you how frightened really the company is. There would not, if the company would just say, let's let the chips fall where they fall, they wouldn't have to do all that. Okay, if they really believe that they were doing the right thing. So another thing is I want to have people know is I want people to be happy in their workplace. I want people to know they can go to work, be happy, enjoy your job, be proud of it, not worry if it's going to be your last day because you don't know when, you have no job security. I want people to be able to lay their head down at night and knowing they have job security, that they can buy that house, they can buy that car, they can put their kids into college, they can save up for the rainy day stuff they want to do. I want bonuses and different things in effect. I want fair rates, not working people to the brink where they're spraining their wrist, putting ice on their wrists, putting ice on their legs, everything. I want everything to be looked at. This company has been, working, under the radar so long, and now people are starting to see the light is shining on this company and what it really is doing and what it does. And what I want to take away from this experience when I'm done, wherever it goes, is that we stood up for ourselves. We used our voice. We showed people it could be done. Regardless of whatever outcome, workers have to start standing up for themselves, for these big corporations, and start fighting for what they deserve. Because you're not always going to get given it to you, and you don't have to accept how they treat you. And have, be strong, be brave, stand up to the bully. Don't let that bully win. And that's the bully tactics they use as Amazon. You're bullying some of these people, and it's sad. Okay, it's sad. And this is part of our democratic process for laborers, for workers.
Hey, well said. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Where can people find out more about you and what you're doing online?
Yeah, well, I have, be the voice that echoes on Twitter. I say that because, be your voice, let your voice echo. Talking to someone like you and a journalist and other journalists, be the voice for someone who doesn't have a voice. If you can, be that voice, empower that person who feels weak. It's important. You can follow me there. I have, the Instagram, the Cleveland Labor Union Instagram. We're going to be going in the next couple of weeks. We'll be making decisions. There will be more out there, and we'll show you which direction we're going. But I do, like I said, I'm in solidarity with anyone who's forming a union. My brothers in New York, I'm in solidarity with them. Any union out there, anyone out there, even Starbucks workers, we feel solidarity with them. We're all after the same thing. So, if you want to find me there, you can find me there. They can go to your podcast and find the links there, and then it'll be, and like I said, the thing is, just don't lay back. Don't lay back. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Do what you need to do. Okay? And these companies will start changing. These companies are going to start changing the way they do things if we stop accepting it. Don't let it become under an umbrella. Don't let it become under an umbrella of deceit, lies, okay, under y'all, attention that they're delivering smiles. Amazon is delivering smiles to the customers, but they're delivering frowns to the workers. And it's important to deliver smiles to everybody.
Hey, that's a great way to close it out. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. If you are listening or watching this, please share this on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever the case may be. Tag Independent Thought. Make sure you go into the episode description, check out those links that were just mentioned, and share this story with other people. Thank you so much. We will see you in the next episode.
Good job. See you, brother.